So I think it's time to talk about these Rivals 2 devs. This game has been out for like 3 months now, 3 months or so. And if you know me in like any other platform fighter, there's one thing that I care a lot about, and that's patches. I love patches. I've sat here and talked about patches in many different games for hours upon hours, just making videos and content because these are things that I care a lot about. And I'll be honest, I'm always disappointed. I think I need to give devs the benefit of the doubt a lot. I think I need to hope that the devs kind of have an idea of what they're doing. Like in Smash 4, we had to figure out what the patches were. In Ultimate, we had to figure out why and like what lingo. Even in MVS, sometimes it's like, okay, like does this actually fix things or not? And I just have to say, these Rivals 2 devs are too good. I think we need to give a lot more appreciation to what's going on here. Because genuinely, I think that it feels strange as a player to be getting cared for by the devs. Even if it doesn't mean that they're buffing my character anymore. It's really nice to tune into like a patch note and see like literal intention with every patch. So this patch right here, I briefly glossed over it because I wasn't like the biggest fan of playing at the time, just because I was grinding Marvel Rivals. No real thing. I was like, I'll read it when I start playing again. But as you can see, there's a lot of stuff going on here, which is pretty interesting. Just from looking at it, it's like, okay, it looks like they kind of want everybody to kill a little earlier. Maybe moves don't kill you like as early as they could, but at later percents, kills are a lot more consistent. Now, this is my first time looking at this. There's a section here, universal gameplay changes. This is something that I think is insane. This tells you exactly what the devs are trying to do with the patch, where they want it to go, and how that affects every single character. This isn't a situation where, you know, Pichu forward tilt gets nerfed, but, you know, Wolf is still ledge trapping with his bigger, maybe a little weaker moves. You know, it's not like, hey, we want people to like not get ledge trapped as early, so we're going to nerf everything and see how it goes. It was like, no, we're just gonna nerf Pichu. So when it comes to Rivals 2 patches, it's like, okay, we want these things to change kind of for everybody. And I think that's amazing. We as the players get to see the vision of the game happen in real time. And it's, again, it just feels really, it feels comforting in a way. It feels comforting to know that the devs actually care about keeping us in the loop of what game they're trying to make. Because then you can have an idea of like, okay, well, you know, maybe in the devs vision, like this thing is OP and this thing isn't. I think this thing is pretty messed up, but it looks like maybe it's not that crazy because, you know, in like some of the changes, you know, it hasn't really been touched yet. So included here, many moves have had their knockback scaling increased, most of which have had their base knockback decreased. I'm gonna just hopefully assume that this says stuff about killing people earlier, which it looks like it kind of does, right? Ledge grab boxes have been shrunk for every character. Like one of the most common pieces of feedback we receive is that recoveries are too strong. And this is the thing, you see this? Feedback. These devs are literally listening to us, which I think is great, but listening too much is trash. I feel like sometimes certain patches within multiverses, for example, I feel like there'd be a lot of like jump scare patches where it's like, oh man, that looks kind of OP, like we should nerf it. I think those kinds of stuff can be a little detrimental, especially because, you know, certain players do like doing these things when the game is still young. Rivals 2 is still very young. But more importantly, like you don't really get the chance to find out how OP is it really. And I think there hasn't been too many crazy changes like that. Yeah, there aren't many like knee-jerk patches. That's the phrase. Because when it feels knee-jerky, sometimes it feels like things don't get to develop too much, right? But that's not to say that they don't have knee-jerk patches. And I mean, I have it here. Look, we just put out a hotfix, right? Hotfix clean up some bugs. Hotfix. There's even a 1.05.2.1 hotfix. This game has a lot of hotfixes. But the thing that I love about the hotfixes, sometimes it's like scary to play other games and it's like, oh man, you know, hotfix is happening. But no, a lot of these hotfixes are literally just bug fixes. Like, hey, we sent out a patch and we didn't want that to happen. And we found out how to fix it. So here you go. And again, I just have to reiterate just how much, even from just the amount of patches and the contents of the patches, it seems like these devs care a lot. And they're not just doing knee-jerk reactions to seeing what people are talking about on Twitter or what people are talking about on their streams, or what people might be saying about how bad their character is and how he's bottom 1 and his recovery sucks, and you know, stuff like that. You know, there's not really a lot of knee-jerk reactions when it comes to the feedback that they are getting. And the other thing that I do love, I feel like some of the fleet changes, for example, were pretty harsh. Some of the arcane changes were pretty harsh, and I'm not gonna say like it was like super duper crazy, but it feels like with the most recent patch, which this happened a little bit ago, and even the one before that, they've been giving power back to those characters, which I think is great. Characters who have been like bottom 1, like Locks, they're not like super knee-jerky on buffing him all the way back up. They're like, look, maybe he still has some stuff. Maybe people aren't performing super well. Maybe the data says otherwise. And it's just nice to feel like the game is slowly getting better. Now, the worst thing that these devs have done, and yes, they're not absolved of all crimes, is this thing right here. They baited this guy on Twitter, and they're like, hey, at gsmVoiD, I need your help to settle an argument on the developer team. Are you trying to hit a reverse with the spike hitbox here?
Pumped here, and it's kind of working out. The baby dash up tilts are coming out again already. 33%.
Oh, what a down air!
Is that gonna do it? It is.
Right? And this gsmVoiD guy, he responded to the devs. And they had a whole conversation about it. And Awesome Pair is like, that shit is getting removed next patch. GG's. And who would have guessed in patch 1.05, Downer's third active frame no longer has spike hitboxes on the dagger tip and hilt. I know I've been hyping up these devs, how they don't have knee-jerk reactions. And this probably wasn't even a knee-jerk reaction. They were probably just talking about, they're like, do we want this to be a thing? And it's like, no. And I'm not trying to say that this is like, it's nothing even like crazy. I think it's hilarious, honestly. Because that's just not something that they want. I think they want, and I played the game a little bit. I messed around with his down air. I think it's fine. I think it's awesome. There's a lot of things that I want to do with Downer being consistent with that like third frame that I'm really excited to kind of just lab out, right? But I just think it's hilarious. I think it's so funny. Because, you know, this goes back. The devs listen to feedback. They ask questions. They know where to look. They know what to listen to. And they're proving it. They're proving it time and time again with every single patch that they bring out. And as a longtime veteran, not only platform fighter player, but like, let's say lab rat, like patch note reader, I, at this point, look forward to reading Rivals 2 patches. Not just because I'm excited for the changes, but because I think having this little bit of dev insight every single time that a patch happens just makes me feel a lot more connected to the growth of the game. Honestly, this is a feeling I didn't think I'd really have. Usually it feels like I'm just reading this and I'm like, okay, you know, game is changing, but I think it's really awesome to be able to get a good look into what the devs are like trying to do. It just feels great, especially because patches are a little more frequent too. It's not like I have to wait a long time for patches. There's always something to look forward to when a new patch comes out, even when a hotfix comes out. There was a hotfix today, and one of the big things, of course, you know, I look at the Forsburn side. Bug fix, strong attack canceled up and down tilts, so when you do cape into up or down tilt, can now be turned around on hit. Now, I didn't even know this was a bug. I thought this was a feature, but the fact that it's a bug, you know, and it got fixed, I know exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna finish talking about how much I love the devs. I'm gonna boot up Rivals 2. I'm gonna sit in the lab for a little bit, and I'm gonna go play ranked. So yeah, big ups to the devs. I just wanted to show appreciation to them because I don't think that like people aren't doing it, but I just want people to understand how good of a job they're doing, in my opinion. Even if they're gonna make it harder for me to hit clips on Twitter by asking me about it. So W devs, I just hope that I can feel this way for all of the patches, and it looks like it's going to continue feeling that way. So yeah, actually like very happy to have this type of a conversation around Rivals 2. There are so many devs that don't do this. So I've been happy to play Rivals 2 and just see this from their devs. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up. I want to try to have discussion talks, maybe like every day, every other day. This is just something that I've been wanting to talk about. So yeah, if you like that stuff, you know, you can like, comment on the YouTube, drop a sub on YouTube or the stream, and I'll catch you guys at the next video. Peace.